Hello students. Today I am going to begin some fundamental concepts of economics. Meaning of some words which are commonly used in economics. So first word is goods. All the commodities and services which satisfy human wants are known as goods. Usually you say the things, but in economics we don't say things, we say goods. All the commodities, maybe this pen, it is a good, it is not a thing. We don't say in economics a thing. It is a good because it satisfies our needs. So all the things, not only the goods, even the services, I am teaching you, I am giving you the service. So this is a good. You are understanding the lesson. So it is a good. So all the things which satisfy human needs are called good in economics. There are two types of goods, tangible goods and intangible goods. Tangible goods means like a chair, table, this pen, that are physical goods which has the shape and size and you can touch. Chair, table, house, these are tangible goods. And then intangible goods which we cannot see, like a service of a doctor. The service given by a doctor is intangible goods. It is not a physical goods, it is not a material goods. We cannot touch it. We cannot, it does not have a shape or form. So this is intangible goods. Alright? Tangible goods and intangible goods. That means the material goods and non-material goods. Again, the goods can be categorized in free goods and economic goods. Free goods and economic goods. Now free goods are free gift of nature, like sunshine, like air, rain. These are free gift of nature. We need not have to pay for it. And these are not produced by anyone, not produced by any human being. It is natural goods. So this is called free goods. Another good is that is we have to produce. It is not free gift of nature. Like a chair, table, house, car, these are also goods. These are things satisfy our needs, which are very much essential for us. But these are not given by nature. These are produced by men. Alright? This pen, it is produced by men. And then we have to pay for it. For sunshine, we need not have to pay. But for this pen, for the book, for the table, for the chair, we have to pay. So this is not free goods. These are called economic goods. Economic goods have to be produced and we have to buy. And then one more thing is that one more difference. These are the differences between free goods and economic goods. First of all, free goods are free gift of nature. Economic goods are not free gift of nature. It has to be produced. For free gift, we need not have to pay, but for economic goods, we have to pay. Then, free goods like sunshine, air, these are available. these are unlimited. But economic goods, since it has to be produced, it is not unlimited, it is limited. Sometimes students they don't have the book. They say that means the book is not available in the market. That means it is not produced. Whatever produced already is sold, and now it is not produced. So it is students are not getting the book. But do you say that I am not getting sunshine because it is not produced? No, it is unlimited. It is available in nature. Alright? Then another very important word which is commonly used in economics, that is utility. Utility means power of a goods to satisfy one's need. That means goods have the power to satisfy one's need. Satisfying, power of satisfying is called utility. In winter, when in the month of suppose December, in the month of December, when we wear the woolen cloth, it gives us a satisfaction, because that moment, that time we need. That means that time woolen, that particular woolen cloth what we use has lots of utility. It satisfies. Without that woolen cloth, maybe we will be feeling cold, will be shivering. But when once we wear the jacket or sweater or shawl, then it gives us a great satisfaction. We protect ourselves from cold and it gives us great satisfaction. That means it has lots of utility. Amount of utility is very high. Power of satisfying capacity is very high. But the same woolen cloth is or same jacket is given to a boy to wear in the month of July, August at present. Will the jacket, will the sweater will have the same utility? No. So utility differs. Utility depends according to place, time, person to person, or place to place, time to time, it varies. It does not remain same all the time. When we are thirsty, if we take a glass of water, it gives us lots of satisfaction. That means that glass of water has, the utility is very high, because we are thirsty, and so that moment if we drink a glass of water, utility of that means the satisfying capacity of that glass of water is very high. It gives us that great satisfaction. But after drinking the first glass, if we drink the second glass, will the second glass give the same satisfaction? No. Isn't it? And so utility does not remain same all the time, all the places, to all the person. If a person does not, if he is not thirsty and if we give him the glass of water, that glass will not give him the satisfaction. But other man who is very thirsty and we give him a glass of water, that glass will have great utility. Alright? Then comes wealth. Now, all the goods are not wealth. The goods which gives us satisfaction, that means which are essential for man, these are resources, isn't it? The things which gives the satisfaction, these are called goods, or these are called resources. But when we say wealth, usually wealth we think or we refer wealth to understand that wealth means lots of property or landed property or gold or pearl or that valuable things. It is wealth. But no, all goods are not wealth. To be wealth, a good must have some characteristics. First of all, utility. To be wealth, a good must have utility, satisfying capacity. Okay? This pen, it has satisfying capacity, so it is wealth. Then scarcity. All the economic goods are scarce in nature. That means scarcity means it is not available. And already I said economic goods are not unlimited, they are limited. It is not that all the economic goods are, because economic goods, it has to be produced. If production is stopped, we will not get the goods. So economic goods are limited. So scarcity. Another characteristic of wealth is scarcity. It should be scarce in nature. Then transferability. It must be transferred from one hand to another hand. This pen is at my hand. I can give to somebody else. He can give to another person. So wealth must have transferability. It can be transferred from person to person, place to place. Then externality. Wealth must have externality. Externality means physical structure. Pen, it has a physical structure, isn't it? It has a particular shape and form. But sunshine, does it have any physical structure? Whether it is round or maybe it is tall, maybe it is crooked. Can you draw? You can draw a pen, you can draw a book, you can draw a bench, you can draw a bed, but you cannot draw, you cannot transfer sunshine. You cannot transfer air. You cannot say that today I am taking the air, after some time you take. No. I can take the pen, but afterwards I will give you. You can say, you can do it. Clear? So when a commodity have utility, scarcity, transferability and externality. Externality means physical structure. Then it is called wealth. So all the goods are not wealth. Free goods are not wealth. But most of the economic goods are wealth, because economic goods which are produced, they are scarce, they have utility, they have transferability and they have externality. Understood? Then wants. Wants means desire. I want to have this, I want to have that. Desire for the satisfaction. If I get a car, I will be satisfied. I desire to have a car. I desire to have a dress. So that means I want a dress, and if I get a dress or when you will buy the dress, it will satisfy me. I will be satisfied. Understood? Then welfare. There are two types of welfare, economic welfare and non-economic welfare. Economic welfare is related to money. That means I want a dress, I can buy with the help of money. But non-economic welfare, it does not depend on money. Welfare of your parents, the service of your parents, whatever service your parents offer for your good, it does not have any, you did not have to pay for it. It has no cost. Their service is not depending on money. They are not taking money from you for their service. Parents are providing everything, whatever needed for you. Your mother is working for you. So they are working, everything they are doing for your welfare, for which you need not have to pay. It does not depend on money. So this is non-economic welfare. Alright? Then price. All of us, we know what is price. When you go to market and want to buy a thing, we ask, what is the price of this? So what is price? The value. In the economics, price means value of the commodity. Whatever we pay for the commodity, that is the value and that is the price. This pen, the price of this pen is 5 rupees. That means the value of this pen is 5 rupees. The price is 5 rupees means the value of this pen itself is 5 rupees. It is not that the value of the pen is 50 rupees. If anyone asks 50 rupees for this pen, will you pay? No, will not pay, isn't it? Because we know this pen is not worth of 50 rupees. We'll say, no, how it can be 50 rupees? We will not give you. This is 5 rupees. Because the value of this pen is only 5. So whatever we pay is the price, and that price means the value of the commodity. Golden ring, can we buy with 5 rupees? No, because the value of golden ring is not of 5 rupees, it is more than this, maybe 5,000, because the value is of that much, value is 5,000. So one cannot bargain that no, I'll give only 5 rupees, I'll give only 10 rupees, no. Then demand, another very common word which is used in economics is demand. Now desire of a commodity or desire of a consumer for a particular commodity. Desire of a consumer for a particular commodity can be termed as demand. But our desire should be backed by our capacity. Desire should be backed by one's capacity. Now, then supply. As demand is more, demand of the commodities are more, supply also is more. When the demand is less, then supply also is less. In the economics, these two words, demand and supply, these two activities work a lot. Demand and supply. When the demand is more, suppose for a particular commodity, when the demand goes high, things are produced more. That means there is more supply. And when there is less demand for the commodity, then production also becomes less. That means the supply also becomes less. So this demand and supply is two important things in economics. Then market. Very often, when we ask someone whom we meet on the way, where you are going? Maybe from other side he replies that I'm going to market. Now what is market? Is market a place? Is market a place? No, market is not a place. It is a system where things are sold and bought. Many of you must have done and must be doing the online shopping, isn't it? Nowadays, I think most of us, we do the online shopping. So online shopping, do we go to the Flipkart, do we go to Amazon to buy the things? Do you go to Flipkart? No, we don't go. But we buy the things. The sellers, they sell and we consumers, we buy. This is a system where both the consumers and the sellers, they satisfy. They come to a agreement for the price and make it possible to buy and to sell and buy. So this is called market. Then another important word is capital. Capital is a very common word which is used in economics. Capital means, usually we think that capital means money. Capital means, in economics, capital means all the appliances which are used in production. All the things which are used in productions. There are 4 things which are used in production, and these are land, labor, capital and organization. These 4 things are used in production. Whether the agricultural products, whether the industrial products, maybe the small industries, maybe the very big industries, whatever it is, without these 4 things it is not possible. Land, labor, capital and organization. Now capital means all the machineries, money, because to buy the machineries, money is needed. Whatever equipments are used in the agricultural field, plow is needed, the tractor is needed, isn't it? So these are all comes within capital. So capital means all the things which are used in production, which are used for further production. Clear? Then saving. Savings, it is a very common word. Saving means keeping a portion of one's income for future. That is called saving. Now saving is very important in economics, because when there is more saving, nowadays people save money in the bank. Earlier people used to save money maybe in the pitcher, they used to keep under the soil, they used to dig and then they used to put it. But nowadays there are different types of banks or financial institutions, and people save money in the bank in those financial institutions. And when there is more saving, then there is more possibility of economic development. When people save money in the bank or different financial institutions, then that money does not remain in one's account. That money is rolled. That money is used for development purposes, various activities. Whatever money, suppose if one person is one person saved 10,000 in the bank, it does not mean that that same money, whatever he gave, that same money will remain in his account. No. Money will remain in his account book, but that money will be used for some other purposes. So more and more saving means more and more economic development in the country. But again, saving depends on one's income. When the income is more, income of a person is more, saving is more, and when saving is more, there is more possibility of economic development of a country. Alright? Then investment. Investment means money which is used for further production. Money which is spent for production. If a person spend 50,000 to open one poultry farm or for one fishery, that will be his, this 10,000 or that 50,000 will be his investment, because that money, that amount of money, whatever he spent for poultry farm or for the fishery, the 10,000, that will bring more money to him. So that is his investment. But if spending 10,000, if a person buy one, suppose a mobile, that will not be investment, because after 2 years that mobile will be spoiled and then he will throw. 10,000 will grow. Go means 10,000 will not bring any money for him. That means that simply the 10,000 will go. That will not be investment. But if the 10,000 is spent for productive purposes, for poultry farm, for fishery or for small industry at home, then it will be investment. Clear? So investment means money which is spent for productive purposes. So this is also very common or commonly used in economics. Then national income. Income of the country, earlier also I said, income of the country, that total income of the country during a financial year, that is called national income. At the same time, per capita income means income of per individual, and per capita income is we can calculate per capita income by dividing the national income by the total number of population. That means when the population is more, per capita income becomes less. It is the average income. One person may earn 5 lakhs, one person may earn 5,000, but average income, that is called average individual income, that is called per capita income. So per capita income is calculated by national income divided by the total number of population. So these are the common terms which are used in economics. Then comes micro and macroeconomics. From the term only you can make out micro means small, macro means large. So in microeconomics we study the individual economic behavior of an individual, maybe a consumer, maybe a producer. So that means individually it is studied, and it is micro. And macro means large. It is the economic activities of all the consumers, all the producers, all the whole market. That means it is collectively it is studied. So this is called microeconomics. Okay children, so with this we have come to the end of this lesson, and in the next time I will give you all the question answers. Okay, all right.